Thank you very much for joining us today in our deeper dive into CodeHS. I do see some very familiar names from our webinar yesterday about getting started with CodeHS. So I'm very glad that you guys decided to join us again. The deeper dive webinar is part of our summer webinar series that talks about going a little bit further. So maybe you're a new teacher and you want to know how to customize, but if you are a current teacher, maybe you want to talk about some learning strategies. Maybe you want to talk about some more tools and things that we can do, such as collaboration in the classroom. So we're going to really dive into a lot of that today. To get started about who I am as your presenter, first of all. My name is Leanne Grant, and I am a PD specialist here with CodeHS. I have been with CodeHS for a little over a year. And before that, I was a computer science teacher for 10 years. I was in the classroom using CodeHS for 6 of those 10 years. I had both free and pro versions, and so I know what it's like being that teacher, starting off using the free version, and then I apologize. My dog is barking in the background, and I know how it is to want to use those extra tools. I am going to pause just for a second so I can get my dog in here. Okay, that's one of the things about working from home. Okay, so with me today, we have Christopher, who's going to be our main support. And we do have a couple other CodeHS people here today. We have Jonathan, we have TJ, and we have Stephanie. And they're going to be answering your questions in the Q&A. So when we go about this, I'm going to show you guys kind of how the format of what we're going to do and where to post questions and everything as we move forward. So like I said in this, this is just one thing after another. Okay, so workshop objectives. Today we're going to go over a CodeHS lesson, but we're going to look at it both from the student view and from the teacher view. And if you were in the workshop yesterday, or if you watched our getting started videos or webinars before, we walked through some things as a student, but we also need to really dive into, as a teacher, these are the things that we can do. And we're going to talk about course customization. And then, as I talked about, we're going to talk about sandbox and real-time collaboration. Okay. So as far as the webinar format, so this is a webinar. It's not necessarily a meeting. It is going to be almost 2 hours long, but because we have so many people that coming to webinars, we don't turn on audio or we don't turn on video for all attendees. So if you want to interact with us and answer questions and stuff like that, you will put that in the chat. If you have a question for us, you would put it into the Q&A, please. That's what Christopher and Jonathan and TJ and Stephanie are going to be doing in the background. They're going to be answering the questions that you may have. If you put a question in the chat, or if I see something in the Q&A that does apply, I'll still answer it live. It could be that, but if we get bombarded by questions, then that's definitely where we want it to be, is in the Q&A. And you're able to see the Q&A, so you can see what other questions people are asking too. But totally feel free to drop anything into the chat if you would like to as well. Okay. So if you are not currently with CodeHS and you do not have an account, one of the things that you're going to have to do is to sign up. And so we do offer free accounts. You can sign up for codehs.com/sign up for free. And what you will do is sign up as a teacher. And you would definitely want to use your teacher email in that as well. If you use a Gmail account, it's a little bit harder to verify you as a teacher. We do physically verify teachers based on what you sign up with, but definitely sign up as a teacher today if you don't currently have an account. Can somebody put that into the chat, please? Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, so there's the link in the chat for codehs.com/sign up if you do not have an account. The other link that I want to give you right off the bat is all of our deeper dive links. And so these links here, and I will go ahead and I'll just drop that in, is takes you to this document here, and it actually is the preview. This is what you guys will see here. This is what you guys will see, and it has attendance. That's the very first thing. You have to be signed into CodeHS with an account before you can do the attendance link. So we're going to skip that one just for now, just for a little bit. But there is the sign up link, and there is the workshop section link that you will join as a student. And then we have the slides link and then an end of workshop survey link. And then in the workshop links in the middle, we're going to get to those in a little bit. You don't have to worry about those at this point. And then I put some resources there at the bottom for you as well. But with that there, everything that you need is right up here at the very top, at the very beginning. Okay. So this link here, the sign up is there as well. So while you're talking or while you're signing up for CodeHS, if you don't have an account, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what is CodeHS. Maybe we talked about this yesterday in a little bit of the other webinar, but we are really a platform for teaching computer science. We teach middle school, high school, and we have elementary. And so we today are focusing on the platform that is made for middle and high school, but we do have full K through 12 web-based computer science curriculum. And we have a separate elementary platform that if you're interested in elementary that you can inquire about as well. We have both offline and online professional development. This is part of our free webinar series, but if you become a teacher, a pro teacher or anything, or if you're interested, we have other kinds of professional development as well. And then we are a full software platform. It doesn't require you to download anything. Everything is completely online. And within that, we have a lot of instant feedback and submission systems that students are able to get grades or maybe feedback from you very, very quickly. We have a lot of grading and tracking tools. And like I said before, it is all web-based, no downloads, no plugins, anything like that is needed. So if you are signed into CodeHS, I would love for you to click on this deeper dive attend link. Anytime you are in the workshop, you can go ahead and you can click on this. What this is it will give you a certificate for attending today. And so it should be an automatic certificate that is sent to you. All you have to do is click on it once and it will have your name then. And then after the workshop is complete, it will automatically send it to you. And it is in that links, the links thing as well. I'm going to copy this. Oh, thank you, TJ. Okay. So we're going to get started by first talking about the course catalog. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the course catalog, but the course catalog has lots and lots and lots of stuff. And this is a little bit of an older view. So I'm going to click into this so you guys can actually see what the course catalog looks like. So what our course catalog has is every single course that is available to you as a teacher to be able to teach. And so you can filter by a lot of different things. You can go ahead and you can type something in the search if you were searching for a particular course that you know what you're looking for. You can search by grade level. So like I said, with this catalog, it is a middle school and high school only, or you can search by state specific. So maybe you are in Georgia and you want to teach a specific Georgia course. The other thing that you can do is filter by tag. So maybe you really are thinking about teaching Python. This here will go over then a brief overview of each of the courses that we have available in Python. If you were familiar before, we used to have introduction to computer science or programming with Python 3. This now has replaced that. So introduction to Python programming is our new Python course and is the one that we recommend for high school students. But you can go through and you can see there's middle school, you can look at the contact hours and the time frame. You can also see, you can add it to your courses. So if you automatically know, okay, yes, I definitely want to teach this, you can add this to your courses and then create sections. You can view the units. So if I click on this one and view units, can you guys see that pop up that comes up? Yes, okay, thank you. So it says Introduction to Programming. These are the different modules or units that are in the specific course. You can kind of look at those. You can also assign a specific module, maybe to a current course that you already have. So that's one way to look at that. You can view the syllabus, and we're going to take a deep dive into a syllabus here in a little while, and it actually is this syllabus. But we're going to look at the different units. So it will actually tell you specifically what's in the units and give you an estimated time frame. You can enroll as a student, and with that, you're able to go through the course yourself to learn the material. You can assign it to a specific section, and if you click Learn More, it will take you to even a deeper depth of the course. One thing I did want to point out over here on the right-hand side is that our course is also available in Spanish. And so what this means is that you can turn on a version for a whole course or for per student, or the student can actually do it as well, that the course material is available in Spanish. And that includes all the directions and the slides. Obviously, if it's programming, the programming language is still in English because that is just a basic. It needs to be in English. Also, our videos are not translated, but they do have captions then that will show in the Spanish language. So it does show which ones here are available in Spanish over here on the right-hand side. And we're continuing to work on those as well. So when I click on Learn More from the course catalog, you can see that this is the Introduction to Program or Python Programming. Like I said, you can view the syllabus from here and you can explore the course. Jennifer, I saw your question about it is a PDF that comes up. So the syllabus, when it comes up for you, is a PDF. It's not necessarily what I want to say, editable. But if you were to copy the information or you have a PDF editor, then you could edit it from there as well. The link to the course catalog given in both PD versions. Oh, I'm sorry. One second. I apologize. I am not sure why it's not in. Is it in the slides? Is it the link in the slides that isn't working? Not sure there. Because I clicked on the one in the slides and it took me to the course catalog. But thank you for putting that into the chat then as well. Curriculum catalog, that's the one that doesn't work. Let me look here. Yeah, that's the view that you should be on. So thank you, Mark. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. So that's our course catalog. When you, like I said, when you view this, you can look at that course overview. It takes you into how many lessons, and then also there's demo programs. So what is really cool here is it gives you a couple different options of what the students are actually going to be doing. And this is a completed version. And so when I click run on this, it actually will run what the program was supposed to do. And you can open this in another view as well. And then there's a couple other projects. This one's the game of pig. And it says turn 1, your score is 0, computer score is 0. This round you have 0. What would you like to roll or bank? I'm gonna roll. And it says the roll you have is 5. Okay, so obviously I don't know without looking at the directions what the purpose of the game is supposed to be for this, but it will allow you to kind of get an idea of what some of the things that the students are going to go through. Then you also have those sample handouts that are listed for this course and standards as well. And so the standards could be aligned to a specific state. It could be aligned to CSTA. It could be aligned to a Certiport. It could be aligned to a lot of different things for different courses. And you can view the alignment from there. We have customizable assignments and then a couple other actions for teachers and then related courses. So this course is a year course, but maybe you only teach it in a semester. It'll say, hey, this is our semester course. And then this is the second part of that semester course. So this full course can be broken down into the one that, is semester 1 and semester 2 if you teach it that way as well. And then it says how to get in touch with bringing CodeHS to your school, and you can click there. So that's a little bit about our course catalog. I'm going to let somebody answer that because that one's a little bit longer. Otherwise, we can wait here just a little bit. So that's a little bit about our course catalog. So let's talk about courses and pathways a little bit. So we have state-specific pathways, and I'm not sure if these links are then correct as well. I do apologize if they're not. But when we looked into the course catalog, all of the CodeHS courses in the 6th through 12th pathway are aligned to support CSTA standards and the K-12 CS framework. And so the ones that we have in this specific pathway is our general pathway, like recommended pathway for 6 through 12. You can customize this and for your particular state, you may have different course pathways as well. When I click into this here, I'm going to show you what the pathways look like. So this is our pathway chart. Okay, and what it'll do is it goes into some of the course overviews, okay, on what is actually in there. But you can design your own course pathway as well. If I was to go into I think it is states. Let's just do Indiana, for example. This will give us the Indiana courses. Okay, and then you can look at the pathways. So I'm going to view Indiana pathways. And this is just an example, but if you go to curriculum pathways and then type in K-12 and type in your state here, then you will possibly have the option of, and not all states have dedicated pathways. We create the pathways and we create the state courses based on the standards and the requirements for the state. So if the state is like Indiana, where they're very computer science forward and they're really on top of always updating their standards and making requirements, then they would have obviously a state page. But this is just an example of the middle school and high school and elementary pathways. This one specifically has the option to be able to change to look at different pathways as well. Our other one that we have is like this as well. I'm gonna put this one in there because for some reason the slides doesn't have the updated one. So there's the updated one. This is the one that I said is editable. This is saying, okay, at the middle school or high school level, depending on what your focus is, is it computer science exploration, or are you really a Python school? In high school, do you want to have an advanced placement pathway, a cybersecurity pathway, a Python pathway, or a web development pathway? And it'll then change the pathways that or the pathway and the courses in that pathway depending on which one you choose here. Okay, so that's how it is customizable as well. Okay. Like I said, they are aligned to the K-12 CS framework and the CSTA K-12 CS standards. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go through a lesson from a student's perspective. And to do that, you will need to be enrolled in our workshop section to be able to participate in the lesson. And so I'm going to close out a couple of these things here. And what we're actually doing is going to this link on the workshop. here. And so this workshop link will take you to join as a student. And so you're going to be on the student side of this, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to give you some links to the syllabus and the lesson plans and stuff as we go on and move forward. But what you'll have to do is join as a student to be able to participate in this part. So I'm going to give you guys just a couple minutes to go ahead and click on that link and get and join. When you do click on that link, you will have something that looks like this here. Robin, could you go in and possibly put other people as teachers as well? Since you're already in this one.
Sure.
Thank you so much. And what you will see then when you get into this is I'm going to go into this as assignments and view as a student. This is what you will see when you get into the workshop section. While you guys are doing this, I'm also going to explain that our workshop resources are in here as well. So I do have the slides. It does say the whole thing is slides, but we have a couple different things. So we have slides, we have our webinar survey that we'll do at the end. We have a Padlet here that is on that links page too. And then we're going to be doing some collaborative coding challenges here at the end or towards the end. And the class code is D14B0. It's always the last 5 of the join code. Of the join link, sorry. So we're going to be doing some of this here, but those workshop resources are there for you as well. But what we're really going to do is we're going to go into this lesson here once you get in, and this is part of our introduction to programming. Where do you access the lesson? Okay, so up here on the left-hand side, let me explain this here a little bit. You signed up as a teacher, so you may have to click on this teacher part and go down to student. When you go down to student, then you should have access to the workshop section that you joined because you're technically in like a student mode within this workshop. I'll wait just a couple minutes. If I have to wait for anybody, just let me know in the chat. It's perfectly fine. The link to join the course is in the links thing. It is in the chat. Can somebody go ahead and post that again, please? Thank you. There's the link there in the chat. And that's how you would join the course. If you have not signed up for CodeHS, if you came in a little late, you hadn't signed up for CodeHS yet, then it will ask you to sign up prior to joining the course or to the workshop section as well. When you're in here as a student, this is going to look a little bit different on the left-hand side. You're welcome. This is going to look a little bit different than what a teacher sees. We are in the process right now of updating our navigation. And so what you see and what I see, if you have been using CodeHS for a while, is going to be a little bit different, what I'm showing you. But next week, you will be able to opt into the new navigation. So some of the things that I'm showing you, everybody should have the same side nav as a teacher, but some of the other ways that we're going to get to things are going to look differently. Okay, so you may have a bar and a toolbar here across the top if you've been with CodeHS for a while. If you new and signed up today, you will have the same view I did. But next week, everybody who has had CodeHS for a while will be able to opt into the new navigation. Okay, and then it will roll out sometime in July for that as well, for everybody. So let me talk a little bit about our view first here before we get into this. For people who are new to CodeHS, this is our side nav here. This is what you see as I'm not getting the attendance link. Can you please help? The attendance link, don't worry about the attendance link now. We don't have to do it at this moment. It is on the deeper dive, the links page. I don't think, but right now we can wait on that. It's not a big deal. Okay. So this is what you would see as a student. And what I did in here was when I'm in my assignments here as a teacher, you have the option to go to student view. So why would you want to view it as a student? Well, first of all, when I'm in here as a teacher, I have some extra things here that we don't necessarily, students don't need to see. This is our lesson plans. This is our problem guides, you know, those kind of things. So we don't need students to see those. And when I'm demoing something, maybe on the board or through Zoom or however it is, I always switch to student view. So they have the exact same view as what I do. And so when we switch to student view, this is what you see as a student, right? And this is what students are going to see. And also I can work through the problems without having to really worry about some of the extra settings that the teachers do in that. And I will show you an exception here in just a little bit. But what we're going to do is we're going to get into this Tracy's grid world. So if you are in the section already, you can go ahead and click on this module. So this is our first module and this is our second module. When I expand this, each of these are our lessons within the module. And then when I expand that, these are our activities that we're doing within each lesson. Okay. And so when we're going to really start into Tracy's grid world, which is the second lesson in this unit or module, you also have the option in this link thing here that we're going to start off with the original one. This is the link to the assignment directly. You always can drop a link to students as well. And so when we're in this lesson here, we're going to look at Tracy's grid world from a student lens, and then we're going to look at it from a teacher's lens. So when you look at it from a teacher's lens, I'm going to put my teacher hat on, and really as you participate, you're going to switch between your you're going to switch between your student and teacher lens. So the goal of this sample lesson is that you can give you an idea of how this lesson can be taught rather than just learning the specific content. So with your student lens, consider what it's like to go through the activities as a student, but with your teacher lens, be meta and reflect on the teacher moves, you know, that I make to encourage participation, and also consider how you would approach each section similarly or differently from maybe what I'm teaching here. Okay. But you also have to keep in mind that students are coming into this course with a basic understanding of some programming concepts. If you're new to programming and you get a little lost, don't worry. It's not really that big of a deal. I really just want you to focus on the teacher moves and reflect on the type of activities at this point. So at the end of the lesson, then I'll talk you through some of the resources that I use to plan the lesson. Okay. So as we go through this, look at it from both the student and the teacher lens. So with Tracy's grid world, we're going to take a look at parts of the typical CodeHS coding lesson. The lesson content, which is the videos and the slides, okay? And then we go into lesson examples that can also be overlooked by students and by teachers at the same time. And so when we're looking at examples, think of a way, and I'm going to show you a way to use examples and check for understanding in a way that is productive in the classroom. You can use everything straight out of the box, or you can kind of customize, and I'm going to show you kind of how I would do it as a teacher. Okay. So when we talk about coding exercises, then we have those examples that I mentioned, and we're going to talk about it is an example oftentimes that's used in the video. And then we get into the exercises, and these are exercises that the students complete, but there are multiple ways to use them in the classroom as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off and go to this lesson here. And we're going to go to the one that says Tracy's Grid World, and there's nothing behind it. We're going to go to the modified here in just a little bit. Okay. So we're going to go through this video here, and I'm not going to show the video. So the reason I'm not going to show the video is because it'll just take up too much time. But I want to tell you that the video is available, and there's lots of different ways to present this. So if you wanted to present this and you want the students to watch the video individually, you could totally do that. I had a tendency to either teach through the slides, or I showed the video as a class and I would stop the video and reinforce, make sure they understood, and then keep going on. And there was also multiple times that I would stop a video and then do something like up on a whiteboard or something with them and then go on with the video. And you can do the exact same thing with the slides as well. But the great thing about the video is if maybe a student is absent, it's not like they're missing the content that is being delivered in the course. And so they can go back, they can watch the video on their own and still be able to get the same content that the other students received, minus obviously the enhancements that you might give. So up here at the top, we have both videos and slides. So I'm going to go in through these slides, and this is Tracy's Grid World. And in the slides, it does start, okay, so where does Tracy live? Tracy lives in a grid world. And what this grid world is a big box with X and Y axis. So students are going to look at this and go, oh no, it's math, but it actually is. So Tracy's home is always at 0, 0. Straight in the middle. Okay, so Tracy will always start off at 0, 0. And Tracy then can move back and forth between -200 and +200 on the x-axis, and can also move to the top at 200 and the bottom at -200. Okay. So Tracy's grid world is essentially a 400 by 400 square. And we're going to move Tracy to points based on what coordinates we put in. So this corner is -200, 200, -200, -200. We have a 200, 200 is this corner. And then we have our 200, -200, and it's 400 pixels wide, and it is 400 pixels tall as well. So Tracy knows some basic commands, and the first one is forward, and the second one is backward. So to be able to move Tracy forward and backward, we're going to use the word forward here, all in lowercase, and then we're going to put a distance in parentheses directly after it, and there is no space between these. It's directly after here. So if I say Tracy is going to move 100 forward, Tracy moves that specified distance forward. If I put Tracy is going to move backward 100, starting at that starting point of 0, 0, we're going to see that Tracy moved backwards. Okay. Isaac, were you able to get into the section and see it? I just saw your thing in the chat. You may have to go up here and switch to student up at the top. And that will allow you to see your section. If you still have more problems, you can definitely post in the chat and we'll continue to help you. All right, so another thing that Tracy has a command is pen up and pen down. The section name is Deeper Dive into CodeHS, and it should say June 2024 after that. The Tracy command, pen up and pen down, means that automatically by default, Tracy will leave this line like a trail, and that means pen down. But if you want Tracy to move without drawing anything, you would have to use the pen up command. Okay, so the pen up command will allow Tracy to move around without drawing anything. So if I wanted to put pen up and then move Tracy forward 100, that's what we're going to do, and that's what it would look like. But if I had pen down, or the default of starting right off the bat, and then forward 100, Tracy would leave a trail and moving the exact same amount. And that's how Tracy's going to be able to draw shapes. So for our first example in this lesson, you're going to look and you're going to draw 2 dashes. So you're going to write a program. Why is pen up and pen down not in camel code? In Python, we do not use camel code. We use all lowercase. Okay, so and that's one of the differences definitely between JavaScript and Python when teaching students, and it does go over that in the very first lesson of the unit. We just kind of skipped that one so we could get into a little bit more content. And so when you write a program that has Tracy draw 2 dashes across the x-axis, this is the very first example that we're going to go through. And in the code editor, the 2 dashes we're going to talk about here in just a second. So this is the commands that we learned backwards, pen up and pen down, because we already knew forward from the last lesson. So that's the very end of that. So as a teacher, I could stand up in the front of the class and totally teach from the slides just like I did. But it's also very similar to what the video is going to present to you as well. So you have both options then to be able to do that. If I would have played the video, it would have sounded kind of similar to but I think it would have been Julia talking, not me. So then we're going to press next here at the top. And it takes you to a check for understanding. So as you can see, it automatically takes you to that very next activity. And our check for understanding is based off of the slides and the video. So it's really, did the students understand what I just told them? And so it's kind of an evaluative thing. I used it in the classroom a couple different ways. Sometimes I would allow the students to complete it and then we talk about it together. Sometimes I would go through it as a class. So we'd talk about the question and I'd have the class answer me and say, okay, what do you think is the best way to do this? And so what I would actually do is usually that way, because I want to be able to gain an understanding. I don't want to have to just look later to see what their grades were and how they did. If we went through it together, I know that they're at least getting the right answer. And so this is what students do not see over here, okay? But this is what they do see, the answered and the score. And so where does Tracy always start in the grid world? Okay, so if I was to answer this question in the chat, you guys tell me which one is correct, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Where does Tracy always start in the grid world? Yes, number 3. Thank you. It's at 0, 0. Now this can be confusing because if students don't pay attention, they could say 0, 0, but it says coordinate in the bottom left-hand corner of the canvas, and that's not right. So what we're going to do is we're going to press this one and it checks. And this is why it's called a check for understanding. They'll call a check and it'll say, yes, you got this correct. Okay, so I am going to go to number 2 and we're going to do this one together just the same way. So what are the dimensions of Tracy's world? Is it 200 by 200, 200 by 400, or whatever? Yeah. Which one is these correct? It is, again, it's number 3, 400 by 400. But I'm going to do the wrong answer just so you guys can see what it looks like. So I'm going to do number 2 here and check. So now what it did is it told me, no, you got it wrong. This is the correct answer. It told me it got it incorrect, and it gives me what the answer is here. And then I can see that I've answered 2 of the 5 questions, but my score is only 1 out of 2 at this point. And so that's what the students can see. I did not take grades on check for understanding. You may want to, that's perfectly fine, especially if you're having students watch the video and you are taking grades based on, did they understand it? That's perfectly okay. The reason I didn't is because most of the time we did this together in class, and I'd rather them know the information moving forward than have to go back and just look at a grade. I was really looking at it as an in time and in class evaluation. And so we're not going to go through the rest of them, but that's kind of how I did this. Now, because it's not complete, if I press submit, it's going to give me a warning and said, did you answer 2 out of you only answered 5. Do you really want to submit? I'm going to press submit and it'll let us go on. Okay. So my score gives me 1 out of 5 questions. So I'm going to press continue here and it automatically takes me to the example. Okay. So this example is Tracy will draw 2 dashes along the x-axis, each 100 pixels long with spaces of 100 pixels between each. So it says, as you explore, and we're going to look at this stuff in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this. So what happens in an example is the code is already there. I'm going to run it and it already has it work for me. This is the resulting world. I don't technically have to do anything in this, okay? It's an example shown in the video of how it works. But do we really want to just ignore the opportunity to really teach forward? I wouldn't. And so what I would do is maybe change some of these, or in those directions, you can go up here to this example here and it will pull it up. As you explore this example, test out the following. What happens if we remove the pinup line on command 1? So this could be an option. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go back to output and I'm going to run it. Now what happens? We don't have those dashed lines. That could be something that you could say, what do you predict is going to happen if we take that pen up away? And then go back in here, I'll leave it there. Okay, what's the next one? Can we predict? How could the program be altered so that after the dashed lines are drawn, Tracy returns to the center of the world, which is her starting position? What else would I then have to do? And so if I go to the output and I run this, and I want Tracy to go back to 0, 0, I already have pen up. So what would I have to do? Can anybody tell me what I would have to do? Tony, sometimes I watch the video as a class, sometimes I taught through the slides. It really depended on the content. When I first started getting started with CodeHS and I didn't know the content well, I would play the video because I was learning at the same time. But as I got a lot more comfortable, I kind of liked doing both. Sometimes I would do the video, sometimes I would just stop in the middle of the video and teach them. Otherwise, I would just teach through the slides. But it's really up to you as what you want to do. I'm seeing different answers, backward 400 and backward 200. So the real one is backward 200 because we have Tracy over here on this line, which is 200 forward, because if we went backward 200, we went here. We went forward 100, forward 100, forward 100, and forward 100. We want Tracy to be here. So what I would do is I would go in and type in, and I have bifocals, so you have to bear with me here a second. I have my bifocals on so I can see. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to go backward 200. And so now if I run this, it's going to take Tracy back to that middle section again. Okay. And so you can go through all of those, but then I also have a challenge. And a lot of our examples have challenges, which is really great when you're getting into teaching the students, because why did I do that? I pressed enter. I'm just going to delete that. Is to look in the docs tab. Okay. So our docs tab, if you're not familiar with it, is across the top here. So it says, look in the docs tab. Are there any other commands that can be used in place of backward to move Tracy to the left side of the canvas? If so, what are they? And then it asks to rewrite the program using these commands instead. So we're asking the students then at this point, let's look at our docs tab. And what this is documentation on different commands that Tracy will learn and that the students will go through as they learn through the different lessons and through the different modules. You're kind of having them preview then what is to come. Okay. And so when we have a rotation one. So Tracy will turn 90 degrees to the left. If I say left 180, Tracy will turn 180 to the left. So what if I did this and I said left, maybe if I can type, maybe if I did left 180 here instead, and I did my output and I ran it. Oh, well, now it doesn't work, but I still want Tracy to move before anything else. I'm going to have Tracy go forward then, right? 200. Now I need Tracy to turn left 180 again for this to be able to work correctly. Now Tracy works. Now, did I really need to use 3 commands when I have a backward command? But you can understand how teaching the students that there's different ways to do it would work. And that's what the challenge is all about. Okay. But that's a way to use something that's already there for you to be able to move forward. Okay. So I'm going to press, you don't have to press save. I'm sorry. I'm going to get my dog 1 second, just man, she is something else today. Okay, so we're gonna move forward. So you don't have to save because this is an example program. So I'm just gonna press next, and what it does is it takes me to my first exercise. And because I've clicked into this before, the exercise assignment didn't show up. But what this is I can go to assignment across the top, and it'll say this is my directions for this specific. Is the shorter code that accomplishes the same thing generally considered better? Well, it depends on what you're teaching students, Tony. So how do I explain this? So when I'm teaching JavaScript and Carol at the very beginning can only turn left, right? So you can only turn left, it can't turn right. So we have to turn left, turn left, turn left. And then later on, we teach Carol how to turn right, which is through a function. Essentially, it's just a different command in Python, but I would teach them both ways. They will learn the other things later on, but I like to do coding in the most direct way possible, and that's what I would tell the students. But I do tell them there's more way to do it. There's more ways than one. There's more than one way to do it. Sorry, because you want them to know that there are. And there might be some students that are like, you know what, I don't get the backward one. I want Tracy to be able to turn around, and it kind of introduces them to something they're going to learn in the future. So there really isn't a right or a wrong way. It's preference, and you really will know your students a little bit better. So it really depends on your students as well. There was another question. Oh, thank you, Jonathan, for answering that. Because I'm working through as a student, this is the student view, exactly. So this is exactly what the students view see, other than like where it says, yes, all of our content, all of our curriculum is available to students for free. As you create a course, you create a section, and you assign it to the students. When they join, they have all the content for free. On the pro version, it's the teacher tools then that change in the pro version. And we're going to get into some of those today as well. Just a couple of them, actually. Okay, so this is our first example. So now we have a shorter dashed line. The example or the program says, write a program that will have Tracy draw a dashed line across the x-axis. So it's very close to what it was before, but Tracy starting off straight. Yeah, make sure Tracy starts at the left side of the canvas. The lines are only 50 pixels long compared to 100 before, and the space between the lines is 50 pixels. Okay, so the entire canvas, remember, is 400 pixels long. I would love for you guys to try this very quickly, just so you can see and feel how it is to be able to put some of those commands into work. Don't forget, you can look at the docs here and you can see what this looks like. So I'm going to just start off with pen up, and then I'm going to say, I'm going to put backward. I can't type today. And how far backward do I want Tracy to go? I want Tracy to go 200 backward. And then I'm going to go pen down, and And then I'm going to go forward. And this one was only 50 then instead. So I can stop there and I can run and make sure that I'm in the right place. Okay. And then we have another thing in our exercises that are called test cases. So these are auto graded. So we have auto graders set up based on the solution code and what we're specifically looking for the students to do. If I was to go into test cases and check my code, it's going to tell me that you should use the pen up command. You did that great. You should use the pen down command. You did great. You should move backward 200 pixels. Great. But you should move forward at a distance of 50 pixels 8 times. And I did not pass this. And so it will tell me that I have not done this correctly yet. So you do not have to go in and put in grades for every single student with the things that have auto graders. And when I look at my grade here, I can also see, and they're not going to see all this extra stuff, but they will see the grade that they received after it's finalized. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my output. The other place I can do this is I can check my code, and it's the exact same thing. So I can either go to test cases or check my code, and I know I'm not done. So what I'm going to do is then go copy this here. I'm going to go pen up. I'm going to go forward 50, and I'm going to try it again. Okay, now I'm ready to go, and now I can do this and copy the whole thing. And now I can see where I'm at. And you can show students how to do that, or you can let them, go through it themselves in the exercises. It really depends on how you want to teach it. Okay. But let's just say I'm done with this. I'm going to check code. I know I'm not done. I'm going to submit and continue anyway. It's going to tell me again that I'm not done. I'm going to continue anyway. And you can see here at the bottom that it's yellow. And the reason that it's yellow is that I did not complete it. Okay, so if I go back to it and I look at my grade here, it's going to say it's not graded because I did not finalize it. Okay. So one of the questions that came up in the Q&A right here, which is great, and I'll tell everybody, is that copy and paste is enabled for all students by default. You can go in and you can take that off for the whole course or whole section or per student. And the copy and paste, well, I think the pro student is the pro feature. Am I correct? But the whole course, you can do it on the free version. And so, I would be very careful with that though, because did you see what I just did is I copied and pasted this, right? So if I was to copy and paste this and I had the copy and paste disabled, then the students wouldn't be able to do that. It would require them to have to write it out the whole time. And also, what if I had something from here from the docs that I wanted to do? Let's just say it was, oh, I forgot to use how to this. I can actually go in here and I can change my speed or change this, and then it would, I'd be able to copy and paste it in, but if you have it disabled, students can't do that either. So it's kind of a weighing the options of what you want your students to be able to do for copy and paste. The presentation will be recorded and I will send it out to everybody by tomorrow at the latest, and it will be a YouTube link. It's for all registrants and attendees. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Whoa. And so when I clicked continue from this exercise, you showed that they can get badges. So it says requirements for the badge that you have to have all this complete in here. We didn't have everything obviously in this, so we took some stuff out and whatever, but then you can continue as well and continue. It's thinking, it's going slow. Yes, You can disable or enable copy and paste at any time. So if you wanted your students to be able to get used to writing code at the very beginning, and you didn't want them to be able to copy and paste, you can have them learn to just do it all at the very beginning. Okay. And then maybe later on, you're like, okay, now I'm going to give you guys a little bit more freedom. I can disable it or the other way around. Okay. But yes, you can change it at any time throughout the course. I mean, you could change it in the middle of the day while they're even logged into it, and it wouldn't allow them to do it. So, and then we get to our last exercise here. It's called Caterpillar. And this one is a circle. And so one of the things that we learned in the very first lesson is how to create a circle. And so our circles are based on radius. And so if I wanted to create a circle here with a radius of 50, oops, again, I cannot type today. What I would do is just type that, and Tracy's gonna draw a circle, and the radius is 50. So the very middle of the circle to here. And Tracy starts to draw circles at the bottom of the circle. Okay, so if I wanted this to be centered, I would have to move Tracy down 50 and then start the circle. So it would be in the very middle. Okay. So that's how you would do that. But this is just another exercise here. Okay. So taking a break before we move on to the other version of this, does anybody have any other questions that I could answer at this point? You guys have been great about putting questions into the chat and to the Q&A, so I do appreciate it. If there's anything else that we can help you with right now, that would be great as well. All right, I'm not seeing anything pop up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to this whole lesson here. And I'm actually gonna go back to this here. And I am still in my student view. And we have a Tracy's Grid World modified in this as well. And what the modified version is here is we removed the dash line example and added a debugging sandbox program. So it's customized, and I moved the quiz to the end of the lesson to use as an exit ticket. So I kind of wanted to show you a different version or a different way to do this. Okay. And so what we did is for the coding exercises, we have, oops, sorry, we have our, I'll just go into this and show you here. Okay, so in the modified one, we have our debug dash line exercise at the very beginning. And then we have a video, and then we go into an exercise here for the shorter dash line, another exercise. Then we did a check for understanding. This check for understanding very much could be that I use it as an exit ticket and this is graded, or it helps me prepare for the next day and I have time to look at it versus using it in class. So because it's the same content, I just moved it around. I can do this in a different way. And so I'm not going to go through all of this, as a lesson and stuff, but you were able to see that how to do this. And we're going to show you here in just a second, then how to move some of those things around. So you're able to modify lessons within, or even modify a whole unit then as well. Do we have focus mode available? Okay, so hold on, let me go back to, are students able to jump around in activities throughout the, okay. So focus mode is something that we will allow students, our teachers to turn on, that will make the students go through something that you require them to go through. And I'll keep going on the lessons. Yes. So to answer your question, Jared, very simply, Leanne, yes, students are able to jump around in activities throughout the lesson. Okay. They're able to go into anything. They could go down here and try this one if they wanted to. But you can use focus mode, depending on your settings, to be able to bring students through the lesson. It's kind of like if has anybody have ever used Pear Deck, and they have to be on the slide or have to be on the activity that you are on, then it will move them forward when you allow them to move forward. It's not going to be work at your own self pace and do that. It's what you're on and what you assign to them. It's within the CodeHS platform itself. It won't matter about going to different websites, but focus mode will make them focus on the activity that you want them to focus on at that time. And it does have a time limit then as well. So that is an option. The next question was yellow and green, and it looks like that one was answered, the yellow and the green. There is a key up here at the top. If it's not started, it's gray. If something I've started and not finished, it's yellow. Green is teacher graded submitted. So this is something you would have to go in and physically grade. But if it turns this teal color afterwards, that is when there's an auto grader and it's been finalized, or a teacher has graded and finalized it as well. And then the next question is, in your experience, did you usually finish one lesson in a 45 to 50-minute class? It depended on the course. So when I did AP-CSP principles or AP-CSP, I had the pacing done that we did one lesson a day, unless it, even according to the syllabus, it was longer. So I would break down, I did everything on a spreadsheet. I had this huge, maybe your school requires it, but I was that kind of person. I had to know what we were doing all the time. And I even gave it to the students so they could see ahead of time, being like, okay, you know what, this is when I'm going to be gone this week. This is what we're going to be working on, kind of thing. But for an AP class, yes. For some of my other beginning courses at the very beginning, when I didn't know kind of how long, but once I got to know the course, I was able to really pace very well. But when we get to the lesson plans, I'll show you then here in just a second how I determined whether it was going to be one lesson a day or if it was going to be over the course of a week or what it is, because we do have those timings paced out. Okay. So what would you recommend for a semester course if you would like to expose them to a little bit of everything? I am going to, there's a lot of different options. Can somebody, one of my support people, answer that question here really quick for me? Thank you. Yes, and so can somebody drop the slides link or the other link into the chat then as well? Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna keep going because I want to make sure that we have plenty of time. So I want to talk about lesson planning, and this is where I get into, okay, now let's look at the teacher lens. So I showed you from the student side and gave you some tips, right? But with our lesson plans, there's also things that we can look at. So in lesson planning, we automatically tell you what prior knowledge students need to know. So what do you need to know, or what do the students need to know to get started planning a lesson? So you come to a lesson understanding, that there is prior knowledge the students need to have, and it will automatically say that in a lesson plan. And then you find this information in the lesson plan. So I'm going to go to the lesson plan. I'm going to switch out of my student view that I was telling you. And I am here. Okay, so now I'm in my teacher view. So this is that Tracy's Grid World, and the lesson plan for that for you guys is right here. Okay, so you have that option to look at the lesson plan there as well without having to make a course or a section. So if I want to look at this lesson plan, I'm going to pick this, I'm going to open this up, and that's what that link will bring you to. So this is our lesson plan. You can print it, you can download it, you can edit the lesson plan from here as well if you have that option. In this lesson plan, students will be introduced. So it gives you kind of like a beginning part. It tells what our objectives are. So maybe you have to have objectives posted somewhere. what activities that we have. These are links to the activities directly. And then you can either print the slides, view the slides, or print the quiz, and these are pro options here, okay? We give you the solution reference here, and then problem guides. Now, what's the difference between the solution reference and the problem guides? The solution gives you the solution, obviously, to what that exercise is. It's going to give you the code that the students need. Oh, it says it's not found. Let me... Robin, are you able to find that? Can you find that lesson plan for me? Thank you. I'm sorry about that. If we can we change that link on that link sheet too as well? I didn't realize that. I'm so sorry. Okay, so where was I? I forget. Let me go back here. Problem guides. So with the problem guides, what they are is if I click into a problem guide for that shorter dash line exercise that we were talking about, this gives a description and then it gives the motivation. And so why are we really teaching this to students? It gives the solution. You can run it in here. So this is what it's supposed to look like. Okay. But then it also gives common questions. So if a common question that students run into is not using the pen up or pen down in the correct spot, and this gives you a little bit of a hint. This part is great if you've never taught this course before. Okay. Or if you've never taught a specific language, this helps you a lot too. And then at the very bottom, this is a great thing too, is this is a video. This is a teacher only video. Okay, so what will happen is that each explain this to me video will have this little password. So what you'll do is you'll just copy this, you'll put it into the password thing and press enter. What this video is our curriculum team talking about a specific, this specific exercise from their point of view. These are the ones that wrote the curriculum. So they're explaining this to you. So again, if you've never taught this, this is a great thing for you to be able to use prior to inside of the lesson plan. Okay. All right, going back to the lesson plan, we also have vocabulary here that they might need to know. The handouts. So I'm going to come back to the handouts here in just a second. But you have student and teacher views for each one. You have some planning notes. Okay, so there's 2 handouts that accompany this lesson. They can be used in a class as in-class activities or for homework assignments. The explain this to me video problem guides are problem guides for your pro, guys. I am drawing a blank. They're available in pro. That's what I thought. Okay, so the problem guides and the explain this to me video is only available in pro. And I don't know why I was drawing a blank there. So then it goes into teaching and learning strategies. So it gives you a suggestion for a lesson opener. And this has approximately how much time we would say, how much each of the activities are here as well. And then the lesson closer, approximately how much it is here. Okay. And so it actually mentions a lot of times in here where the handouts fit in. So it says students can complete the coordinate handout activity in pairs or individually if time permits or for homework. Okay, so it does talk about in this section how to use it. And then we have our lesson closer. Prior knowledge that students are going to need to use. Our video slides are here. Possible discussion questions for like the beginning in class or end of the class. These are great for like maybe a bell ringer. It could be an exit ticket, or it could just be a discussion. And then we have some standards, and obviously this meets the Common Core math standards as well. And then we have translations. What this one did not have is modifications. So a lot of our lesson plans also have modifications for advanced students, for students who need extra accommodations, and then also for students who are English language learners. And so it will give you some suggestions based on those. Okay. So let me see where I'm at in here in the lesson plans, lesson content. So we talked about a lesson opener. So you could use those as that bell ringer. Go through the video, look at the example and go through the challenge. Do the exercises. They can complete individually or in a breakout room or with a partner or however you wanted to do it. You might do an exit ticket using the ending questions and then, review at the very end. This is the commands that we learned today. And we have a lot of different ways in the slides then here on ways to use the lessons. Again, there's a lot of different things and ways to use the examples, how to do the exercises, and this brings us to the syllabus. So when we look at the syllabus here, and I'm going to go in to resources here on the left-hand side. Okay, so resources is under curriculum. When I go to resources, I need to go to, oh, it's not there, is it? Courses, assignments. The syllabus I provided for you here. So it is right here. So we're going to look at the syllabus here. So the syllabus for this course specifically will give you kind of an overlay of what each module is. So what I did then is broke down each module into, let's just say this unit 2, whatever it was 3 weeks and so this one's a little bit different. Let's go to a different one. Basic Python and console interaction is supposed to take me 3 weeks or approximately 15 hours. What I did to answer your question about the 45-minute to 50-minute is I would look at it and say, okay, you know what, this is actually going to take me 15 hours is divided by 50 minutes. How many days do I need to be able to do that? Maybe you have block scheduling where you have longer. So that's why I like that the hours are on here too. I broke it down by day and then I gave an approximate, and I always left 1 to 2 days at the end for review, for challenge exercises, or because I needed to change my pacing throughout the course. So I always gave myself a 1 or 2 day, which is 2 class period, kind of buffer in there. And then if I didn't need it, we'd maybe do some supplemental material or we do some fun activity or something that I found somewhere else. So I hope that answers your question as far as that as well. But the syllabus will cover each of the units and the examples, what labs might be available, whatever is in there, and it gives the link to the modules then as well. Okay. So that's about the syllabus, the planning and pacing. Like I said, you do have those options for those handouts, and we do give suggested times within the lesson plans as well. And there's different ways to use them. I already showed you the standards. You can add your own activities. We're going to show you here in just a second how to add activities to different things. And what that could be is maybe you want them to have a free response question for journaling, or maybe for journaling, you want them to do something that's not Flipgrid anymore. I think it's Flip. Maybe you want to do some kind of screencasting. Maybe you want to give them a choice board and you can provide students with choices in their lessons or scenario-based activities. There's a lot of different ways to use the base course and then be able to customize it from there. Okay. So to add our own modules, I'm gonna show you guys that here in just a little bit. Okay. But what you would actually do is you can go into the whatever course it is here, and you can add a blank module, or you can add from something that's consistent that's already there. Okay. Okay. I'm going to, so we already talked about best practices. We are going to skip the breakout rooms right now. only because I want to be able to get through a whole bunch of stuff with you guys. So we're gonna take like a little tiny break here. Are there any questions that we can answer for you guys before we move on to some of the teacher tools that I can show you? Why don't we take like a 5-minute break? It is 12:18 Central Time. So let's come back at like 12. Let's just do 12:25. I'll give you guys like 7 minutes or whatever. 5 minutes might not be. So let's go back. Let's come back at 25 and we will continue from there. All right. If you have questions, continue to put them in the Q&A. I don't have any problem answering while we're on our break as well. So we have a question about APCSP, and I am going to answer this live, Wilson. And it said, let's say I have 180 days to work with to prepare high school students for APCSP. Are you talking about preparing them for the APCSP course, to get them to where they need to be, or actually teaching them APCSP? You can just drop that in the chat if you, that way I can answer it more specifically. Teach them and prepare them for the APCSP test. Okay, so we have specific APCSP courses. So APCSP is a course that it has no prerequisites whatsoever. And have our syllabus is already pre-approved through College Board. So we have different options for the test because the APCSP test is a language agnostic, meaning you don't need to use a specific language on the APCSP test. You can use a lot of different programs to be able to teach them, or a lot of different languages. So we have 4 options. We have JavaScript, we have our APCSP Python, we have an APCSP cybersecurity, and we have an APCSP Roblox. If you are just starting out and have not taught APCSP before, or you're just starting out with our curriculum, I definitely would probably choose JavaScript or Python first, so you can get used to the rhythm of and the requirements of what the APCSP test requires. There are 2 parts of the test. There is a written test as well as a project-based test. So our curriculum for APS-CSP actually prepares them for practice projects that they will create, and then it gives time in the course specifically and said, these are the requirements for the test, and this is what you have to do, and then the students come up with something that they want to be able to create for the test. So I would definitely narrow it down to APCSP in Python or APCSP in JavaScript, and that would be your preference. If I have students who have never coded before, who are taking APCSP, I lean towards Python, but that's only because Python is my preference in language versus JavaScript. And I think sometimes that's easier for students to pick up on because you're not using the semicolons, you're not having to use camel case and things like that. So I would prefer Python, but it really is up to you. But that's how I would narrow it down. Did that answer your question, Wilson? Yes, yes. One course is a full year. And so you wouldn't want to do more than one because you really want them to focus on that specific course in that language. So they get something and they're able to create something with that one language. You don't need to know cybersecurity and AI for the APCSP test. But if you wanted to bring in some modules or some things just to hint on that, you can. The one thing about the APCSP course is it is paced, so you are completing it in time to be able to do the project and then get ready for the test after that. And so bringing in a lot more content would not necessarily bringing in a lot of content, but you could bring in some content if you wanted to. And you can always bring in content from other courses, and we're going to go over that here in just a little bit. You're welcome. All right, Jonathan's answering that question. All right, we are going to get back and get started again here. Keep dropping your stuff into the Q&A. I love it. We have people answering, so I thank you guys for answering those questions as well. So we're going to move on to some of the tools that you can use as a teacher. So we're going to look at communication and feedback tools first. And so what that means is that, I don't know why I did that. Communication and feedback tools allow us as teachers to send out announcements, talk about conversations, do conversations in 2 different places actually, and then edit student code. And so the very first, and there's also a help mode too. So what we really look at is where to do this. And so I'm going to show you on the teacher side here how to send an announcement out to everybody in the course. I'm going to do this and I'm going to show you guys where to find it. So I'm on my page here, and like I said before, you may have a different view based on the new nav, but you will be able to opt into this new nav next week. So I'm going to go into the roster page here, okay? And if I scroll down, I can see all the teachers that are in here and I can see all the students. And so if I want to send an announcement to the whole course, I would press announcements here, okay? And I'd be like, hello, thank you for attending today. And then I would publish. I'm not going to send email to you guys, but I'm going to publish announcement to the section. So where you would go to see that announcement is you're going to see that there's a blue dot up here, right, on yours, because you are a student in the course. If you go to this, you should see something that says that I sent you an announcement, and you should be able to see that. And that's a way to quickly send something to the whole class. You just have to definitely let them know that they need to check those. If you send an email to notify students, it will tell them an email that says, hey, you received an announcement. Okay. And so that is how you would send it. Okay. And the other thing that we can do is we can have conversations from the roster page as well. So I'm going to go back to the roster page and say I want to have a specific conversation with Jennifer. She's my first one here. I can click on this conversation tab here, and I can have a specific conversation. And you can see that I already sent out an announcement here, right? And it says, thank you for attending today, but I wanted to say hello. And the only person who's going to be able to see this is Jennifer. So I'm going to press send, and then you can see that this one was sent out as an announcement to the section, and now you can see the conversation. And if Jennifer was to get on to this here and was to answer back, you would also be able to see her thread or your thread, you know, as a teacher and as a student, and to be able to talk back here. Okay. So that's how you would speak to a student in general. So there's another way to do this as well. And why would we want to use this in a different way? Well, we would want to, and that's the announcements, that's conversation. The conversation for the other way is to really talk to students about a specific question. Okay, so if I'm in an assignments here, and I was switched to a student view, I'm going to go back into here where we were before. I'm going to show you how to get to this. So let's just say I'm on this exercise here that we looked at a little bit ago, and I have a question and I'm stuck. I can go to this here and I can go to conversation as a student, and I can type in something here. Now this generate AI hint will not be here for students. It's just because I'm still a teacher, so I can see it. But if I was to type something in here, so I want you guys to do this really quick for me. Please click into any exercise within this workshop, go to the More tab, and click on Conversation. When you click on Conversation, you will be brought to something like this, and you should be able to type something in here as a message. Just type me anything. It does not matter what it is. I just want to show you what it comes out as. The announcement might not be found because you guys are actually teachers and this is a PD. So it might just be that. But students definitely would be able to see the announcement. All right, now how am I going to see anything that students have sent to me? I have two options. I can go up here and I can say, oh, Jennifer sent me a message. Let's go back to this because I want to show you what this looks like. So here's the announcement. I said hello and Jennifer said hello back. Thank you, Jennifer. But I also could go into another option, and it's called code review over here on the left-hand side. Okay. When I go to code review, I can see an overview of help questions. So just now, I can see all of my students who just sent me questions on different things. I can see who it came from, what activity that they're on that they have questions about, what the timestamp is and when they sent me the question, and then a preview of this here. So if I was to click into Leanne's, because this is the very first one, I can go here, conversation, I can see the conversation, I can answer her back, and then I can do a couple different things from here. So if I just say hi, this is what it's going to see here. I have the option to write some code in. So if I wanted to say you need to use forward 50, it's going to actually preview as code here. And I have to put the ending one on here. It's going to preview and says hi forward 50 is, let's just say, is what you should be using. So you see how that was there. I can do a lot of different things in here when I'm sending messages as well. Okay. And you can see that there is a generate AI hints. This is a pro feature. To be able to generate the AI hints, what you can do is if they're stuck based on their code, you can choose a general hint, identify the problem, or identify and offer solutions, and it'll give like a sample of what it is, and it will override it. It'll give it a sample of what it seems like it's missing. You always do have to review this though. It is still AI, you know, it's not, you always have to review AI and make sure that it's what you want to send, but you can send a general AI hint, or you can choose the level of depth that you want to. But again, that is a pro feature. Okay, so that is that conversation. And thank you so much for everybody that that was that sent me questions, and you can still see things in here. The other things you can see in code review are you can just see the help questions, you can just see the student submissions, or you can go to grading settings as well. So that's a little bit about our conversations here, okay, and how to speak to students and how to give feedback to students. The other thing you can do is you can edit student code. So you can make changes directly to a student's exercise. You can add comments, you can write starter code, and you can help debug. And then when you press save, it'll help to push them to you. So I'm going to go into this one here, and I'm just going to do a comment and say, I'm going to actually say, you need to write code here. Okay. So I'm going to save this. It's going to ask me, now your code is different from what your students did. Do you really want to push this to them? Yes, I'm going to push that to them. It gives me another warning. Push. Okay. Why would I do this? Maybe you're leaving a comment for students to say specifically, hey, this is the part that you really need to focus on. Or you can give them hints on how to change a function name, or you can write pseudocode logic for them to be able to then do in the actual language that you're doing. The greatest thing you can also see about this is if you go to history, and students have this same view. If I go to history, I can see that Regina did this, but then the teacher did this. Okay. And so you can see who made changes at any specific time. And if the students then wanted to, they could reset the code back to the very beginning, restore the starter code, and it goes back to the very beginning. Okay, so but that's a way to be able to help students directly within their code. And then there's a history of saying this is exactly what I changed. So students can't come back and say, hey, she changed all my code and messed it up. No, I did not. This is exactly the change that I made. Okay, because if I go back to history now and click on this, you can see exactly what I added and what time I added it from. And then you can also go back within each one here and say, this is what was added and this wasn't at the very end. So that's editing student code. Okay. And that help mode is what I showed you, and that's how you would get to it here. So we took a break a little early, so because I was a little bit behind. So course customization, this is the part that I always told you guys that this is what we needed to do. Yes, you can add modules on the free version. You can move things around. They did put an article in there for you to be able to go on our knowledge base, and I'm going to show you how to do some of those things now. So the very first thing you can do is you can reorder modules. To be able to do that, first of all, you have to be on the assignments tab as a teacher. Students cannot do this. So let's just go back. I'm going to go back to my assignments tab so you can see this. And let's just say I want this module before this module. I can press edit, and then these drag blocks come on, and I can just drag here. And then I press done. Okay, if I wanted to change it back, I can change it back at any time, and I can do that here. Okay. So that's how we move modules. But then we also can reorder and remove content as well. You can do this by changing from over here when we do our lessons and our activities. So how do we remove content? Let's just say I wanted to, well, let me add something first because I don't want to remove something and then add and then do it. So let me show you how to add first. There's a couple different ways. You can add from here and you can add a blank module. Okay, so I'm going to just say, I'm just going to call it sample module. Oops. Maybe I cannot talk or text today at all. I'm just going to put sample. Okay, so it's going to come up at the very bottom. So this is my sample module that I've added. Okay, I can also add a new lesson from here. So I'm going to call this lesson 1. But then if I expand this, I can add an assignment too. So it will let me choose what I want to add. So let's just say I want to add and embed an article from something else, because I've done this in the course itself, and I will show you here in a second what it looks like. But I want to embed an article or a web page. Okay, I'm just going to take this preview here, and I'm going to, okay, here's the article URL, and I'm going to save. And then you have some options of what you can do, whether it's pro or whether it is free. And I'm going to preview. So what I just did is I embedded this sheet into an assignment into the workshop itself. Okay. So then what I can do is I can go back here and I can remove content. Say I didn't want this in here. Okay. I can remove it at any time. I can take this, I can press remove, doing anything. It says, are you sure you want to remove this assignment? Okay, it will remove the assignment from all of your sections in the course. So you can create a course and have several sections of the same course. When you remove something or you add something, what it's doing is it is assigning it to all of the sections. So if I was to remove this, it's going to take it from all of the sections that I'm taking it from. So yes, I want to remove this assignment, and now it's gone. Okay. So that is how you would remove assignments. You can also add assignment material. So I showed you how to add, but we have one more area here at the bottom. So on most courses, you're going to have something called supplemental content. And I'm going to actually go to a different course. Let me see. Just so I can show you, I'm going to go to this course here. And I'm going to go to assignments at the very beginning or very bottom. And I'm going to show you search for content here. Oh, that one didn't have it either. Some of the sections that I created do not have it. Let's go to, see if this one does. I really want to show you what this looks like. All right, so supplemental material. When I go to the very bottom and search for content, I can assign extra things. This comes with the course that you're teaching. And so let's just say you selected a course like maybe APCSP, and you want other things to be in there. You can go through and you can preview these things and say, okay, I want to assign only a lesson, or I want to assign this whole material here. I can do maybe some extra puzzles. What is cybersecurity? Maybe I want to get into microbit a little bit. Maybe I want to get into some other material. So this is things that you can assign. You can also look through our course catalog. So we had some questions about how to add material from another course. Let's just say I wanted to add material from another course into here. It will take me back to the course catalog that we previewed earlier. And I can go through and let's just say I want to add in some web design into this. I can add this whole thing to my courses, or I can assign, or when I went into the learn more, I can go into specific, oh, here it is, the explore courses. I can go into specific lessons or modules then and go from there and do that whole module. So that's how you would add that. All right, so how do you create your own content? So this is what I just showed you here a little bit ago, is adding your own module. When you do add your own module, I'm gonna go back to my course here that I had a little bit ago. Just be easier to do this. Deeper dive. Couldn't remember what the name of it was, sorry. Okay, so when I go into my assignments here, when I go to add, all I did was add blank ones in before, and then you get to choose. But you also can choose to add a sandbox program, add CodeHS, something from a course, or add a project as well. And so when we were going into add a sandbox program, this is something that you've created separately in your sandbox. We're going to talk about that here very, very quickly. I need to get going on this. Or you can go to the project catalog as well and choose that. And so let me go through adding, forking quizzes is another thing that you could actually do as well. If you have a quiz and you wanted to customize your course even more, we have something called forking. And forking will break it down where you can create another version of that, and then you can change the name of it and you can customize it then as well. Sandbox, this is what I really wanted to talk about, collaboration. I want to show you how to allow students to collaborate in the classroom. There are some exercises inside of the slides that you can use on your own to kind of learn a little bit more about how it works. We're not going to have time to go over them today, but what the sandbox is that you can create open-ended projects using the sandbox. And so when we are in this here, the sandbox is up here, and this is not going to change on the new nav, okay? And so what this will do is I can see all the programs and things that I've created in the sandbox so far, but I'm going to create something new, okay? So to do that, I'm going to create program, okay? I'm going to click on, well, actually you want to put a name of it first. So I'm going to call it Deeper Dive. Okay, and I'm going to press create program. Now you get to choose what kind of program you want. What we were just doing in Python is Python Turtle, okay? But if you just wanted to use the console, you can use Python 3, and then we have some other Python graphics as well. We have a lot of different Python, we have a lot of different JavaScript. Maybe you really just wanted to preview something in HTML and add HTML. So you can choose whichever kind of project that you want to be able to do. I'm going to add in something, let's just do HTML, just because, no, I'm going to go to Turtle, just because we were doing that a little bit ago, and create program. So what this does is it will put some sample stuff in there, and if I run it, this is what it does, okay? Now, if I wanted it to do that a couple more times to create a square, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to say, okay, let's make this a collaborative program. I'm going to click over into my left window over here, okay? And this here is our collaborate button. When I enable collaboration, what is going to happen is within the sandbox, I can give access to more than one person to work on it at the same time. I still own it. All the changes will be made in my program, but other people can work on it at the same time. So what it does is it gives you a link. And I'm going to drop that into the chat. If you click on that link, I will be able to see who is coming in to collaborate. All right, I have Robin coming in. So if I say, okay, who can help me finish this square? All right, there's a lot of different ways to use collaboration in the classroom, and I'm going to go over them very quickly, but I want to make sure we can get everything done. Can one of you start typing in there? You can see that Robin is typing this. I can see who's typing. Okay, so now Robin said to turn left, and so if we run this here, oh, there's a bad error because we don't have a comment. So we got to take that comment out, Jonathan, doesn't work. Thank you. All right, so now we have turn left. Can anybody else finish that is in this collaboration what the last part would do? And so you could have them specifically do things, you can have them take things out, you could create something for them to debug. There's a lot of different ways to use collaboration in the sandbox. And you could create something from scratch that, or you could create, maybe you take one of the exercises or one of the examples that we talked about earlier and change it, and then have them build something or change something there. So if I was to run this now, we have a complete square, okay? So let's just say I wanted to make a checkerboard. Then we could go on and we could keep going and make this checkerboard and have everybody keep going in there. Now, if I disable collaboration, I can still see everything. It still saves all of that work, but nobody else has the ability to modify what I had did anymore. And so if I do this as a teacher, that's great, or the student who owns it will only have that code then, because students are able to do that as well. The disable was on the bottom left. So when I enable, the disable was down here at the very bottom. It says disable collaboration. Okay. All right, so wanted to make sure you knew how to do that. You can also organize your sandbox programs. I have created folders and then you can put those into folders. I could say maybe I wanted to move this deeper dive into one of my folders. You could do that as well. We talked about the real collaboration and how to start the collaboration and to disable the collaboration. There is collaboration chat. You as a teacher can turn that on and off, whether you want them to be able to chat or not. And then you can enable, like I said, enable chat for your students as well. Do we have any questions about the sandbox? All right. I apologize. I think when I sent that collab, I sent it to everybody, to just my my support people. I'm sorry, I had the wrong thing on. So I'm glad somebody else was able to fix that for me. All right. So in the slides and in here, I want to show you some coding challenges very quickly that if a student starts a sandbox, a teacher is unable to see. No, actually, if one of you was to go in and create your own sandbox program right now, I can go in and I can view class sandbox. So if I was to select which student it is, I can see my students who already have sandboxes created. Okay, and so you are able to do that as well for your students. You can select a specific student, or you can go in and see all of them at the same time. How do we create a website in Sandbox using HTML? Are you talking about the home page or like a just an HTML program, Jocelyn? Okay, so each student and the teacher has their own edit homepage here. When you first click on it, it's going to ask you to set up a name for it. Mine is L Grant CodeHS Me. But what we'll actually do is I can create anything that I've done maybe in the sandbox. Let me go into my sandbox. I will show you really quick here. Let's just go into this deeper dive one, and I'm going to press share. I have the option to go to embed code and copy. And then I can go back over here, go here, paste that. And when I run this, I'll be able to see my website, my information here. And so if I open this up in another thing, I can see the different code, and you can use this as a student showcase because students are you're able to embed the information from here, and they could share this homepage with their parents or with anybody. They can use it as a portfolio for internships maybe they're doing or something in school. There's a lot of different ways to use these home pages. Okay. But students or anybody is able to go to run this or to copy this program to your sandbox and be able to change and do something on their own as well. You're welcome. Okay, so the sandbox coding challenges. So within our section, yes, they can embed it onto a Google site as well. Yes. Deeper dive. Okay. So within the section here at on the assignments, you guys will be able to see, and on the deeper dive links, that in the workshop section, I gave you guys some collaborative coding challenges. And what this is a whole bunch of different coding challenges that you could ask students to do in the sandbox. And we were gonna do these today, we just kind of ran out of time, so we're not gonna do these, but you have access to this. And so what you could do is go in and have them look through these, pick one, you could pick one, and you could do it together with the students however you wanted to do this. Okay, and yep, this is where we were gonna do it, is in the breakout rooms. So I'm gonna take this time because this is the end of our session and we only have about 5 minutes left. And I know I just kind of went fast through the end. Is I would love to answer more questions for you guys. It says at the end of the year, will students still have access to the lessons and material, or will they lose access? Okay, so that really depends. Their stuff in their sandbox will stay as long as they have a login. The stuff on their website will stay as long as they have a login. The course, though, the courses, the sections themselves usually get archived. You create a new section for the next year, so anything they've done within that, in that content, they would not have access to after you archive the section that they were a student in. Hopefully that answers your question. You're welcome. Just looking at chat, there's nothing in the Q&A. Does anybody else have any other questions that I can answer for you? We went over some basic teacher tools. We didn't really do a lot. I really wanted to get you familiar with CodeHS itself, and some of the things that you can do as a teacher before diving into grading and all that stuff. That is definitely a different, we're gonna have some back to school sessions as well on what are the best grading practices and things that they will end up coming up. So Robin just put in our webinar survey. I would love for you to give me any feedback today on anything. We have some other things that you could always do too. Do students have access to the different courses? They have access to what you assign them to. So our courses are like our curriculum, and our sections are like our class periods. And so the class period that maybe I have web design, I have 2 class periods of web design. I'm gonna use the same curriculum courses, but I'm gonna have 2 different sections, period 1 and period 2. And so when I have period 1, those students only have what I give them within the course. Which PD course training modifying the autograder? That is going to be a very advanced PD training. We have some videos. Do you guys know offhand about do we have autograder things? Is it on PD membership or is it free? I don't think that we have anything on free webinars. But I do think we have some autograder ones on our PD membership. If you have the PD membership, TJ is going to answer that one specifically. Thank you, TJ. Oh, you do have a PD membership. So when you go to events and you look, or the on-demand library, there should be some videos there specifically about autograders. When will back to school session start? You guys start back August 1st. That's a little early. Our summer session doesn't start until the very beginning of August. We will, I can't give you an exact date. I know that we will start our back to school webinars not at the beginning of August, unfortunately. But there could be some videos on our YouTube channel. Let me get that for you very quickly, unless somebody else already has it pulled up. Our YouTube channel has all of our free videos available that we have. Let me get that. This over. Thank you. Thank you, Robin. There's a video for you there. All right, are there any other questions? So we have the webinar survey link. Let me know how we did today. It'll help us improve things for the future. I also want to tell you that we have a lot of other free PDs coming up this summer. We have 4 or 5 AI free webinars that are coming up. We are getting into teaching JavaScript and getting started teaching Python, as well as a deeper dive into Python. And then we have some cybersecurity things coming up, as well as teaching strategies in the classroom. So all of those are available for free. If you are interested in bringing CodeHS to your school, even maybe it's a pro version or something, you can go to codehs.com/learn more, and that will allow you to have somebody will contact you about being able to how to move forward with that. So I will stay on just for a couple more minutes if you guys want me to, in case there's any other questions. Otherwise, we are going to end there, and I want to tell you thank you so much for attending today, and I hope that we were able to give you a little bit more information and help you learn CodeHS more in depth. So thank you very much.